What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name's Jeff Bailey. It's a little bit of an unscripted video today, so we'll see how it goes, but I have screwed up. This one's the worst of the ones that I've found, but what's happened is as I display my knives, especially my nicer traditionals like this snakewood Viper from Great Eastern, 47 frame, I believe. Displayed them on a little set of wood shelves, you know, just kind of like this in the house. There's tiered. I think I've shown them in the 100 subscriber video before, but that just sits in the house, often goes unused. And I don't like to keep them, you know, wet with oil, but you know, I try to go back and keep them old when I can. But you know, life's busy, things happen, and went to get this this Viper off a couple of weeks ago, actually, to put it in the pocket. I think I actually did put it in the pocket. Got to, you know, was at work, something, went to cut a string off my shirt, or you know, cut something open for a coworker or something like that. Opened the knife up and saw rust on the blade, and I'm not talking you know, a couple of spots here or there. I saw a patch of rust where clearly I had cut something, gotten it wet. I don't know if it was wet in my pocket, folded it back up, and put it on the shelf. Probably sat there a couple of months. And the way it sat was the moisture was below the below where it was exposed. So like on the shelf, I didn't see that there was a problem. It was only until I opened it and saw the part of the blade that had been covered up. So I kind of started fidgeting with this to see if I could get it better before I started recording, and I think I've made a few mistakes already, but thought I'd take you guys along and we would see how this goes. Hopefully keep you from making some similar mistakes that I've made. So stick with it. Let's check it out. Let's just take a look at what we're looking at here. I think I've shown you the Viper before, Snakewood Viper. Really sweet knife. Mine's actually a factory second, but I think that does not really matter when you take a look at it. It's a great looking blade. Alright, well, here we go. Now to review. So I opened it up, and this side is the side I've started to work on. So I'll show you what I first saw effectively. I'll wipe whatever. Oh, and I had some patina and stuff on here, but look at this, you guys. That's just rust. That's not spotting. That's, you know, you can feel it. Hopefully you can hear that. No other way about it. I neglected this guy on the shelf. You can see it actually on the bevel there. You know, blade still has an edge too. I mean, it's not. So I don't know. Maybe I cut some food, something. So I'm gonna show you this side. I started working on this side. I'll tell you what I'll show you first, and I'll tell you what I did. You can still clearly see it, but it's actually smooth on this side now. You know, there's nothing there. There's still a mark, but see, you can see where I used something a little bit too abrasive while I was working with this, and I've got that scratching there. So I'm going to try to fix that. I just took some cooking oil, and at first what I used was steel wool. Now this is quadruple zero, quadruple aught steel wool, final finish grade, super fine, 4 zeros. This is as fine as it gets. This is a very, very, very small fiber. That did not cause these scratches, but it also wasn't doing a real fast job getting the stuff off. So what I did, and I shouldn't have done, was I got a Scotch-Brite pad. Now that took some more stuff off, but that scratched up my finish. Also, I think I need to get something a little stronger, maybe like a WD-40, try to break down this rust, and maybe start here and skip here. And the plan is to go to the buffer at the end and see how much we can finish this out. So I'm going to go get the WD-40 and we'll come right back. So where I'd recommend starting is with something like a WD-40, and again, not the Scotch-Brite, the fine grade steel wool. Disclaimer here, don't go for the wire wheels. That's just don't do it. Just don't. You'll ruin it. Worse than I've ruined it just with the Scotch-Brite pad. So what I do is get a little spot here and just really saturate that with your agent like this. And what I'm going to do actually as well here Let's get a block, something here that I can really put my edge down on, so I know that I'm not going to cut myself. Applying pressure here. I'm applying, you know, fairly moderate pressure. I'm just going to kind of rub and buff this here. Again, this is the fine steel wool. It feels very smooth, running back and forth. I'll lift the edge just a little bit, try to get along the bevel there. So that's just been this for a few seconds here. Let's see. I can still feel it a little bit with my finger. Get a quick look here. You can still see it, see the shape there, but we've got the bulk off, you know, see? It's become more of a stain here. I'm going to try to just do this a little bit more. I might skip ahead. Alright, so did that for a few minutes, and we've gotten it about as good as we can get it, using only the Scotch-Brite. It feels pretty smooth to the touch now. Still very clearly marred from that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move to the Scotch-Brite pad with the anticipation that I'm going to be scratching this. That's important to keep in mind. I plan on kind of scratching, buffing at this, and then I'm going to go to my actual buffing wheel to finish this. Now if you don't have a buffing wheel at home, you might just want to call it quits. There's some hairline scratching if you get the light just right, introduced even from the steel wool, but it's pretty faint compared to the really hard scratching you can see here from the Scotch-Brite pad. Did some buffing clearly with the Scotch-Brite pad. You can see the scuffing there. Try to kind of do random directions to keep some real defined scratches from becoming apparent. Did a little bit more on this side as well. You can see there. But now see, this is totally smooth. I can't feel this at all where the rust was. And you can see if I catch the light, it's fairly uniform. Sorry about fighting the focus again. As always, it feels like. You can see that it's fairly reflectively smooth there. I'm pretty confident, again with the color here, that the rust itself has been removed, and what we have now is the patina beneath the rust from where the liquid was sitting, just sort of a really stark, dark patina there. Not much around that, but we are going to go move to some buffing now to see what we can do. You can see the grit here that came off while doing that. The little bits in the oil here on this piece of wood that were caught, not caught, but that were pulled loose from the material. Lets you really kind of tell how much really came off there. But it feels much better. Looks a little bit better, a little lighter, not this dark splotchy red. So we're going to go to the buffer now. And I do want to point out, before I did this, I did wash the knife with an anti-grease compound like a Dawn, a dish detergent, something like that. Washed and immediately dried. Right before we get into this here, you just don't want to get the oils onto a buffing wheel if you have one of those. So this will probably be fast motion, but I'm going to do a little bit, use my rougher compound on this side, and see how uniform we can get this looking now. Alright guys, I'm going to wipe the excess material off here real quick. It's pretty apparent we're not going to completely eliminate the evidence of our mistreatment of this knife. Our mistreatment, my mistreatment. And this, at this point, is really going to come down to personal opinion. So this is the knife right after coming off the buffing wheel. Clearly can gloss up pretty well. However, you know, you can still see the if focus works with us. You can still see the scratches.
And on top of that, you can still see in the right light where the rust was. Let me turn this off and see how this does differently. Going back to that polish, it feels polished. It feels very smooth. It's hard to really show off the fine scratches because they all kind of get lost in the fingerprints and everything like that. At this point, I would call this good to go. Again, this is a factory second. You guys can see the S right there on the stamped into the tang. There, see a big fingerprint right there. That's just kind of how this knife is going to be. I think if I had a microfiber cloth handy. Yeah, so I've just used a microfiber cloth on it, and there, that's about as good as you can see. I mean, it's pretty clearly scuffed now, and I think what I would have to do would be to run this buff for a long time on this knife now to get that back to mirror polish. And frankly, to me, it's not worth it. I'm not a giant fan of mirror polish anyway. But what you can see is that other than how it refracts the light, that rust spot is completely gone. I mean, you can see where it was, but there's absolutely no rust there whatsoever. This is exceptionally difficult to capture on the camera. I almost feel like in the bright glare, I can make out the pitting that's happening. Not to mention, it makes it hard to get the camera to focus. But try one more time here. Get it to switch to macro. If you ignore the streaks from my fingerprint, I don't know if you can tell what I'm talking. There you go. Maybe that's a good way to do it. You see the very, very, very light pitting that you can see there, but it's all shiny metal down in there. I could run this buffer for a while and try to get it close to how it was before, but honestly, I don't think I'm really going to help it all that much. I'm try to get that same shot there. I just ran this over the microfiber. You can see how the camera, it's so sharp the camera's trying to focus on itself as opposed to the subject at hand here. Yeah, there you go, you can see. I'm going to leave it here, guys. If you're doing your knife, it's going to be up to you to finish it to as much as you want. You know, maybe I'll turn this back on. I'll run it over the fine grit just a little bit, just because why not? I'm already this far. Alright guys, just wanted to get you one more look over the knife there, and you can see that it sort of depends on what angle you catch. It is very much polished now. There you go, kind of farther away you can catch where you can still pick up where that rust was, but the rust is gone. That's just the markings of the blade. That's reactive steel, folks. However, one benefit of this process, of course, I mean, you could do this without having to have rust on there, was it gave me a nice chance to be able to kind of polish up my bolsters and shield and stuff on the buffer. Bring the knife back to life a little bit. Good grief. Is it Monday? Yeah. Certainly not a restoration by any means, but perhaps the best that this video can be is just a cautionary tale. You own your reactive knives, even if you don't use them. Check them out once in a while. Give them a look over. Keep them, have a good oil soak on them, because they can rust sitting on your shelf unbeknownst to you. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll get to another knife review next time.